I am now discussing Chapter 8 of Council General Guidelines 2008, which talks about specified number of audit assignments of companies that can be accepted by a CA in practice. Students, we have such similar discussion under section 141 subsection 3 clause G of Companies Act 2013. So the time has come to combine both the discussion and understand what has changed in the May 21 modules and stuff. Students, this is an amendment. In the May 21 modules, they've included in the new code of ethics, they've included this. For you, it is an amendment. For us, we have been seeing this since years. That earlier, anyways, few years back, there was anyways a limit given by Chartered Accountants Act 1949, and it was exactly the same limit of 30 companies. What is included, excluded, वो सब करते हैं, अभी rough discussion कर रहा हूँ. And for some reason in the previous code of ethics, they said that when it comes to company audit assignments, we leave it up to Companies Act 2013. So whatever limit is given of Companies Act 2013, just follow that. So they removed the discussion from the code of ethics over here. And they just referred to section 141 subsection 3 clause G of Companies Act 2013. But then, now again they have brought this discussion back. So actually it is homecoming of a previous provision which was anyways there, but with a little bit of modification. All right. So this is the background that I have given. Now let me discuss. Section 141 subsection 3 clause G of Companies Act 2013. It says 20 companies per individual. And this Council General Guidelines 2008, it says 30 companies per individual. Audit assignments of companies. When I say audit assignments of companies, I'm talking about audit of financial statements of the companies. But we need to understand that what is the exact provision over here. Let us first read Council General Guidelines 2008. 30 audit assignments, whether in respect of private companies or other companies, with the exception of one-person company and dormant company. Fine. So over here, as per Council General Guidelines 2008, they are given an exception of, look at this, one-person company and dormant companies. Fine. One-person company and dormant companies as per Companies Act 2013. Now, we also need to understand that what is given under section 141 subsection 3 clause G. Although orally we can discuss, but it will be better if I just pull up the textbook of the institute. Very nicely they have explained. Just a minute. All right. Okay. So we have the discussion over here. A person who is in full-time employment. Just a minute. I hope you all are able to see my screen. Okay, just a minute. Okay. A person who is in full-time employment elsewhere. Please understand, I'm reading the language of disqualification. Means it is going to show what is not allowed. Understood this? So if you do this, you are disqualified. All right. So please understand, please read it accordingly. A person who is in full-time employment elsewhere. Oh my God. That means in the calculation of these 20 companies per individual, per person, they have simply excluded person who is in full-time employment elsewhere. So if there is a CA in practice in the firm and he is full-time engaged, full-time employed elsewhere, as per clause 11, part 1, first schedule, it is possible that you are full-time employed elsewhere with the prior permission of the institute. So in that case, you are just excluded. You cannot be counted for counting the ceiling limit. ऐसा कुछ इसमें है क्या काउंसिल जनरल गाइडलाइंस 2008? Look at this. A chartered accountant in practice, whether in full-time or part-time employment elsewhere, shall not be counted. Oh, ho, 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 ho. So, when we look over here 30 companies per individual. They say that, boss, just putting a hashtag, that a person who is in full-time or part-time employment elsewhere, not counted. All right. Now, whenever there are two different provisions given under two different acts. See, earlier Council General Guidelines 2008 says that please follow Companies Act 2013. But now since they have given provisions, that means they want you to follow something. Because they would have felt looking at the sections of Companies Act 2013 that yaar isme maza nahi hai. Thoda bahut loopholes hai. So when they want chartered accountants to follow something very specific, understood this. So they have come out with a provision where if you follow this, you will end up automatically following Companies Act also. I'm talking about this line. So they say that if you're a CA in practice and if you're a full-time or part-time employed elsewhere, if you're full-time or part-time employed elsewhere, means part-time or full-time आप कुछ और भी employment कर रहे हो. In that case, you are not counted. Companies Act says that you are not counted only if you're full-time employed elsewhere. So naturally, we'll have to go for a principle of harmonization over here. So in the exams, a CA in practice who is full-time or part-time employed elsewhere. One more time. A CA in practice who is full-time or part-time employed elsewhere. Both of them are not going to be counted. All right. Be careful about this. Okay. We go ahead in the discussion. We need to be a little slow over here. A person who is in full-time employment elsewhere, straight away disqualified. Rest of this from counting those limits. So he cannot sign on the audit of financial statements of the companies. Or a person or a partner of a firm holding appointment as its auditor. If such, I'm reading Companies Act now. If such person or partner is at the date of such appointment or reappointment, all the calculations, are done as on the date of appointment or reappointment. You need to ensure that you are not, exceeding the limits. At the date of such appointment or reappointment, holding appointment as auditor of more than 20 companies, other than one-person company, dormant company, small companies, and private companies having paid up share capital less than rupees 100 crores. Okay. So we have exception over here. Do we have one-person company and dormant company over here? Do we have one-person company, dormant company? Yes, we have it. Not a problem. One-person company. And dormant company, we have it. Not a problem at all. Okay. Then let us look at the other exceptions. Other than one-person company, dormant companies, small companies, private companies having paid up share capital of less than rupees 100 crores. So small companies and then private companies with paid up share capital less than rupees 100 crores as on the date of appointment, reappointment. Okay. But in the calculation of ceiling limit on the number of audits of the company, as per CGG 2008, we have only two exceptions, one person company and government. So there is only one line which I'm going to say, and that should hit the bullseye for you. And that is, we are going to create a win-win situation. A chartered accountant has to ensure that he stays within the limits of Companies Act also. And he has to ensure that his overall holding of number of companies should not violate the limit of Chartered Accountants Act 1949. All right. So be careful about this. Let us read some more points, please. Then we'll go ahead. The number of partners of a firm on the date of acceptance of audit assignment shall be taken into account. I hope you realize that when it comes to how many audits can be accepted by a firm, it depends upon the number of partners, and we need to check how many partners they had as on the date of acceptance, of the audit assignment. Okay. The audit of one or more branches of the same company. If you're conducting audit of one or more branches of the same company, it will be counted as one assignment only. I think that's very clear. We have been learning this since inter-C level. Okay. The audit of head office and branch office of a company will be counted as one assignment only. So this, okay. Then, next point I've already discussed with you. A chartered accountant being a part-time practicing partner of a firm shall not be taken into account. I think I've discussed this with you that if you are if you are part-time or full-time employed elsewhere, तो भी you are not taken into account. And in a firm, let us say I'm a proper full-time practicing CA. All right. And I'm not involved in any other activities. I'm a proper full-time practicing CA. But with your firm, I'm just associated. Look at this. I'm just a part-time practicing partner of a firm. In that case, you cannot take assignments on my name, because our partnership deed needs to ensure that I'm a proper full-time practicing partner of the firm. Part-time, full-time, again left up to our judgment. And this also means that all such chartered accountants who are holding part-time COP. Normally, we chartered accountants we hold full-time COP. But if institute has reduced your powers, and if you hold a part-time COP because you are heavily engaged somewhere else, in that case, तो आप गए काम से, man. You cannot accept the assignments. All right, part-time COP उनके पास ही होता है जो they are engaged somewhere else also and having a lot of other occupation. तो वहाँ पे anyways we have understood that if you're part-time or full-time employed somewhere else, you cannot be counted over here. Okay. Then a chartered accountant in practice as well as firm of chartered accountant in practice shall maintain a record of audit assignments accepted by him. We need to maintain up-to-date records of when we have accepted, how many companies, because if the institute wants to do a check, then we need to maintain proper records. Naturally, the peer reviewer, quality reviewer can access these records and check it. All right. But still, I know you are not satisfied. I know that you would want a little bit more discussion on this part. All right. So we can just take examples and do nothing else. We have plotted the discussions over here. Now we can just take examples. So ABC firm has got 3 partners. A, B, and C. All right. Okay. Let us make it 4 partners for more enjoyment. D also. All right. Okay. And let us say that D is a part-time lecturer. In a college. Is deriving 30,000 salary from there. All right. So can I say that D is part-time employed elsewhere? D is part-time employed elsewhere. Okay. I'm just laying down the facts over here. The facts of the case. A, B, and C, they are not occupied anywhere else. All right. So they are proper full-time practicing partners of the firm. Full-time practicing partners of the firm. All right. Okay. So what is the ceiling limit What is the max allowable limit? That is the first calculation we need to do. How many companies they are holding right now? All those details you will see later on in the question. First of all, what is the max allowable limit for A, B, C? You should always do individual calculations. Never just start straight away. Don't start calculating at the firm level. Okay. So A, B, C, and D. So now, as per section 141 subsection 3 clause G, okay, and as per Council General Guidelines 2008, okay, 20, 20, 20, and if a partner is part-time employed elsewhere, Companies Act does not have a problem. Listen to this. Oh, but Chartered Accountants Act 1949 has a problem. So in that case, D cannot hold. For D, it's a big zero. D cannot conduct audit of financial statements of companies. All right. So CGG 2008 के हिसाब से 30 overall. 30 overall. 30 overall. All right. Okay. So we now go ahead in the discussion. Let us say that A is holding audit of 15 1% companies. 15 1% companies. Let us say 20 small companies, 5 public companies, and 5 private companies with paid up share capital of rupees 105 crores each. Let us sort down case by case. So tell me, first let us examine as per Companies Act 2013. 1% companies, we are not going to count. Whatever I'm doing in blue is as per Companies Act 2013, and whatever I will do in green will be as per CI Act 1949. Understood this? Okay. So 1% companies we are not going to count as per Companies Act 2013. Then 20 small companies we are not going to count as per Companies Act 2013. All right. Okay. Then 5 public companies, of course, we are going to count as per Companies Act 2013. 5 private companies with paid up share capital of rupees 105 crore each. Of course, we are going to count. As per Companies Act 2013, because paid up share capital is 100 crores or more as on the date of appointment, reappointment. All right, understood. Now let us do the green calculation. 1% companies, of course, we are not going to count. Okay. Then 20 small companies. Do we have a small company exemption when it comes to Council General Guidelines 2008? No. It says 1% company and dormant company only. Okay, so it's very clear. It was 1% company and dormant companies. Those are the only exceptions. So they say private companies or other companies, that means all companies included. Only 2 companies will be excluded, that is 1% company and dormant company. So tell me something, students. Small company will I count as per Council General Guidelines 2008? Yes. Okay. 5 public companies, am I going to count it? Yes. 5 private, jaisa private bola, yes. Council General Guidelines 2008 has got no calculations of paid up share capital or something. Listen to this. So yes. So what is the limit utilized? What is the limit utilized? If you see, as per section 141 subsection 3 clause G, we have counted 5 plus 5, 10. 5 plus 5, 10. But 20 is allowed because the above 2 were excluded. Understood this? So 10 on 20. So still 10 remaining in the name of A. However, if you count as per Council General Guidelines 2008, if you count as per Council General Guidelines 2008, so 20 plus 5 plus 5. All right, so 30 limits, 30 company. limits utilized. 30 on 30 done. Now, even though Mr. A has got here 10 companies unutilized limit, he cannot utilize it. He cannot utilize it. It's over. Mr. A cannot accept any further audit of companies, audit of financial statements of companies. So please be careful about it. Now you will realize why Council General Guidelines 2008 came up with this. Because as per Companies Act, there were so many exceptions. And there was no limit only. If I take n number of small companies, n number of private companies with paid up share capital less than 100 crores, there was no check. And come on, in lockdown, we need to distribute work, right? No, that's not the case. But the work of chartered accountant needs to be focused, man. So that is why Mr. A over here cannot accept any further audit of companies, because if he tries to accept, acha, 1% company and stuff he can accept. So he cannot accept any further audit of companies except 1% company and dormant company. So anyways, calculate. So if he accepts more 1% companies, dormant companies, not a problem at all. That has been given under exception, under both, under CGG and under Companies Act also. But if he tries to accept more small companies or more private companies with paid up share capital less than 100 crores, Companies Act will not have an issue. Companies Act will not have an issue. But naturally, Chartered Accountants Act 1949 is going to have an issue over here. So I hope that I've covered all the possible discussions, Now I'll give about B and C. If I just keep on giving examples, it is going to extend the lecture. So D, even though it was part-time employed elsewhere, I've excluded D. I've excluded D because of the restrictions under CGG 2008. Even the Companies Act would not restrict it. So the main underlying principle is that we need to ensure harmonization. You would have studied this under interpretation of statutes between CGG 2008 and section 141 subsection 3 clause G of Companies Act 2013. All right, so be very, very careful over here about this part. This is a little tricky discussion. Okay. Yes. All right.